There are plenty of things you warned not to do in Asia, especially when it comes to the supernatural. But above all, there's one rule you should never break. Do you know what that is? You should never pick up a random umbrella you find lying around. Why? Because in Hong Kong and southern China, many people believe that abandoned umbrellas aren't just forgotten belongings. They may actually already be occupied. Picking one up could mean taking home more than just a rain cover. It could mean inviting a spirit to follow you. Many people in Hong Kong would rather just get soaked in the rain if they forgot to bring an umbrella, rather than pick up random umbrellas. Welcome back to another episode of Hong Kong Horror. I'm your narrator, Simon. Tonight, I've got some stories revolving around umbrellas that might just change the way you look at them forever. And after the stories, I'll share some of my thoughts on what I think happened from a Cantonese cultural perspective. Get comfortable and let's dive right in. Our first story for tonight was shared by a woman in Hong Kong. Let's call her Emily. She lived in Saigon in one of the village houses. Unlike many in the city, she had the luxury of having a bit more space on her property. One of the perks of living in the village, she decided to fix it up and make it nicer so that she could invite friends over to just hang out, or even have some barbecues up there. She strung up rows of Christmas lights along the walls, so at night, the whole place had the soft, warm glow. It was cozy, almost festive. It was coming together really well. She even set up a small table where she liked to sit in the mornings with her coffee. The only thing missing, she thought, was a big sun umbrella, something to block out the strong Hong Kong sun during the day. At first, Emily thought about just buying a brand new one, but once she started looking around, she quickly realized those big sun umbrellas weren't as cheap as she expected. The nice brand name ones cost a lot more than she wanted to spend. So after browsing through new ones for a while, she decided to just check the secondhand listings instead. After all, who doesn't like saving a bit of money, right? The secondhand listings were, of course, a fraction of the price of buying new, but most of them looked rough. Faded fabric, bent poles, umbrellas that had clearly been sitting out in the sun for far too long. No wonder they were so cheap. Then, as Emily scrolled further, one listing caught her attention. The photos showed a sun umbrella that looked practically brand new, the thing that made her stop scrolling. It was listed as free. Emily clicked right away, expecting some kind of trick. Lots of people list things as free just to draw attention, but when you click into it and read the description, you find out there's actually a price. But not this one. The description was straightforward. The family was moving overseas and needed to get rid of everything as soon as possible. And this wasn't just any umbrella. It was a brand name model, the same exact brand Emily had been considering buying new, except here, it was offered for nothing. Emily immediately reached out to the seller, half expecting no response. But almost instantly, a message came back, as if he had been sitting there waiting for someone to reach out. He explained again that his family was relocating, and they were in a rush to clear everything out. If she wanted it, she would have to come by tonight. He won't be home, so he would set it outside for her, but it would have to be by tonight. He gave her the pickup address, and to Emily's surprise, it was only a short drive away in a neighboring village. Not wanting to miss out on such a steal, she agreed immediately. She grabbed her keys and decided to head over right away before someone else got there first. The seller told her that he would leave it outside the front door. She could just pick it up whenever she gets there. Emily thought the whole thing was a little strange. The man's quick reply, the urgency, it felt a little bit off. But then again, moving overseas must be stressful, especially moving your whole family. She told herself. You must be busy with packing and getting everything sorted out before leaving. So, she brushed it off. She followed her GPS through the narrow, winding streets of Saigon until she finally reached the address. The house was a typical Hong Kong village house, concrete, a little weathered, 3 stories high. It was completely dark inside, and there it was, the sun umbrella folded neatly, propped against the wall outside by the front door, waiting to be picked up by her. Emily parked up, got out, and walked up to grab it. The umbrella was heavier than she expected. She had to half carry half, drag it across the ground before rustling it into the trunk of her car. As she slammed the trunk shut and got back behind the wheel, something made her glance up one of the windows upstairs just for a split second. Blinds shifted like someone had been watching her and quickly let them drop back into place the moment she looked up. Emily froze. The family was supposed to be gone. The house was supposed to be empty, according to the seller. A chill ran up her spine. Without lingering any longer, she put the car in reverse and pulled away from the house, the uneasy feeling following her all the way back down the dark village road. By the time Emily got home, the uneasy feeling had already faded. In its place was excitement. She couldn't believe her luck. A brand new sun umbrella in almost perfect condition, and she didn't have to pay a single dollar for it. She was already picturing it set up on the rooftop, casting shade over her table, the Christmas lights glowing in the background. It was going to be perfect, but not tonight. It was late, and the umbrella was heavy. She decided she'd wait until morning to bring it upstairs. For now, she just left it in the trunk of her car and headed inside, eager to deal with it in the daylight. Later that night, Emily thought she should at least thank the man for leaving the umbrella out for her. She opened up the original chat, ready to send a quick message, but to her surprise, the conversation was already gone. The seller had left the chat completely. She tried looking for his profile again, thinking maybe she clicked the wrong thing, but no, it was as if his entire account had been deleted. Emily frowned. It was strange, sure, but maybe he had closed the account after clearing out the last of his stuff. She told herself not to overthink it. Still, it nagged at her a little as she got ready for bed. That night, Emily was jolted out of a deep sleep by a sound she hadn't heard in years. Her car alarm. It was blaring at full volume at 3:30 in the morning, so loud it shook her awake. At first, half asleep, she assumed it was someone else's car down the road, but after a few minutes, when the wailing refused to stop, she realized it was hers. She rushed outside, heart pounding, terrified that the noise would wake the entire village. The alarm lights were flashing, reflecting off the walls of her house. She quickly shut it off, then circled the car, scanning the shadows for any sign of movement. Maybe one of the village dogs had bumped against her car, she thought. They're always out and about at night. But there was nothing, no sound, no movement. The night was dead still. It seemed like the alarm had gone off for no reason at all, exhausted and still groggy from being woken up so suddenly. Emily retreated back inside and tried to push the unease out of her mind and went back to sleep. The next morning, she finally dragged the umbrella out of the trunk and set it up on her rooftop. It was perfect. Her rooftop was finally complete. She spent the morning up there under an umbrella, sipping her coffee, proud of herself for scoring such a great deal on this umbrella. But that's when the nightmare started. That night, while Emily was relaxing in her living room, the television humming in the background, she heard a faint knocking. Not from the front door. It was coming from above, from the glass door that opened onto her rooftop. At first, she dismissed it. She lived alone, and there was no way anyone could get up to the roof from the outside. It had to be her imagination. But then it came again. Emily froze. She quickly muted her TV and stood up, listening carefully. There it was again. This time she was sure of it. The sound had come from upstairs. Moments later, the sound came a third time. It was loud this time, as if someone was pounding hard on the door. Her stomach tightened, heart racing. She turned on every light in the house and made her way slowly up the staircase. At the top, she approached the glass door cautiously. Beyond it, her rooftop glowed faintly under the strings of Christmas lights she had hung. Emily leaned in, hearing carefully through the glass. There was nothing. No one was out there. Emily carefully slid the glass door open, the night air heavy and still. She stepped out cautiously, scanning the rooftop. That's when she noticed something strange. The umbrella was no longer standing upright in the center of the table where she had left it earlier that day. Instead, it was folded shut and leaning against the wall by the glass door. Her stomach dropped. She remembered clearly she had left it open that morning, secured through the hole in the table. Before she could process it, her eyes caught something else. Someone was sitting in her chair, the semi chair where she always sipped her coffee in the mornings. It was a man, maybe in his 50s, wearing something that looked like a hospital gown. He sat there casually facing out into the darkness beyond the rooftop. He didn't look at her. He didn't move. He just sat there mumbling softly to himself as if she didn't exist at all. Terror gripped Emily. She slowly backed toward the door, careful not to make a sound, and slipped back inside. Once the door was locked, she bolted downstairs back to her living room, grabbed her phone, and called the police. When they arrived, she led them back upstairs to the rooftop. There was nothing. The man was gone. The rooftop was empty, and the umbrella, it was once again back in the center of the table, secured exactly as she remembered leaving it that morning. Emily couldn't explain what was going on. That night, the knocking returned, on and off sporadically. She didn't sleep at all. The next morning, Emily finally gathered her courage. She went back up to the rooftop, removed the umbrella from the table, and rustled it back down to her car. She put it in her trunk, determined to return it. When she arrived at the house where she picked it up from, her stomach dropped. In the daylight, the place looked completely different. Maybe it was because it was dark the first time, but now she could see clearly. The walls were stained, the paint peeling. The windows were clouded with dust. Compared to the other homes in the village, this house looked old, abandoned, as if no one had lived here for years. Still, Emily propped the umbrella neatly back against the wall by the front door, the same place she had found it. That's when she realized the umbrella that she took out of her trunk was no longer the new umbrella she had been using. It was now an old, tattered umbrella. It looked as if it had been used for years. It was dusty and sun-faded. Terrified, Emily quickly turned and walked back toward her car. Just as she was about to climb back into the driver's seat, she noticed an older woman walking slowly along the village road. Something in Emily's gut told her to ask, "Papa, excuse me, ma'am." Emily called out politely, "Do you know the man who lived in this house? He told me yesterday that he was immigrating. Do you know if he's already left Hong Kong?" The old woman stopped walking, leaning on her cane. She turned to us slowly, her expression puzzled. After a moment, she shook her head firmly and waved her hand. "Moa, Moa, Moa. No one lives here. Do you have the correct house? No one's lived here for a very long time. I grew up in this village, and this house has been empty for years, many years." Emily's stomach tightened as the woman went on. There used to be a couple here with 2 children. They were planning to move to the UK, but the husband fell ill before they could leave. He passed away not long after. The wife and children eventually did immigrate, but after that, this place has stood empty. Why do you ask? Are you a relative? If you are, please do something about this house. It's an eyesore. You have to maintain it. Emily's mind went blank. Her mouth moved before she could think. Yes, yes, yes. Relative. Sorry, sorry. Thank you for your time. She quickly bowed her head, hurried back to her car, and drove off without looking back. As Emily drove out of the village, her hands tight on the wheel, a sudden thought struck her. Her car had an interior camera, one of those dash cam systems that automatically recorded whenever movement was detected inside. Heart pounding, she pulled over to the side of the road and opened the app, scrolling through the saved clips. To her shock, more than 10 new videos had been recorded the night the alarm had gone off. She tapped the first one, and her breath caught in her throat. The screen showed the interior of her car, and in the back seat, someone was sitting there. It was the same man she had seen on the rooftop, middle-aged, hollow-eyed in a hospital gown, who was slouched in the back, mumbling to himself. Emily raised the volume. His voice was faint, broken, repeating the same line over and over. We'll go soon, we'll go soon. As soon as I'm better, we'll go. She fumbled to click the second video, but before it could load, the whole system froze. The screen glitched, flickered, and then went blank. Once it came back on, all of the recordings were gone. Every single file had vanished without a trace. Emily tried to recover them, frantic, desperate, but nothing worked. It was as if they had never been there at all. Upon returning the umbrella, the strange occurrences and sounds stopped in her home. Eventually, Emily ended up purchasing a sun umbrella, brand new at full price.